There's a cost to running from yourself, detaching, hiding, concealing, and not feeling. I don't mean the kind of running where you take a break or you need time to think. I mean the kind where you silence your own voice, bury your gifts, and pretend you're someone you're not just to survive in a world that doesn't understand you. I did that for over a decade, and it nearly destroyed me. But before we go there, let me tell you how it started. After my awakening at 11, when the voice came, when my senses opened, when I began to know things I couldn't explain, I was flooded with more truth than I knew how to hold. I could feel people's pain, hear their thoughts, sense their lies. It wasn't scary. It was just too much for me. One day, overwhelmed and exhausted, I lifted my face to the sky and shook my fist, and I said, God, I can't do this anymore. I'm not ready. I don't know how to live in this world and hold this love at the same time. If there ever comes a day that I can walk in these abilities with maturity and love and give them back to me, but for now, please stop sending people to me for me to heal. Stop sending me people with their issues. I'm overwhelmed and I'm too immature to deal with it. And Spirit did. The voice went silent. The knowing dulled. And my connection faded like a dream. I wasn't sure if it had ever been real. For 13 years, I lived in that silence intentionally. No prayer, no real acknowledgement of intuition, no communion with spirit, just trying to be normal, trying to blend in, trying to survive, going through a really bad divorce that almost killed me. My life was in danger. And then I married a man who reflected my own disempowerment. I poured myself into relationships that asked me to shrink. I let others make decisions for me, speak for me, define me. I abandoned myself because I thought it would be easier than trying to find one person on the planet that understood. But the longer I stayed away from who I truly was, the more the foundation of my life began to crack, until finally it crumbled. A man I trusted walked into my life and took everything. He was very much like Bernie Madoff. Every dollar, every sense of safety, every illusion I still clung to, and I became homeless. And not just physically. I was spiritually, emotionally, and energetically bankrupt. One night, I found myself sitting in the bathtub in the dark, completely undone. I had no plan. I had no idea how to fix what was broken. And I remember thinking, maybe this is it. Maybe you have gone as far as you can in this lifetime. Just kill yourself. I decided to commit suicide. But before I could, my phone went up and a text came through. And my best friend Robin said, I was told to send this money to you. I love you. I was elated and upset. I knew then that I had to say, to stay. It wasn't the money that saved me. It was the energy behind it. I knew then I wasn't alone, and my best friend felt me. Not only that, but both of my kids called me within minutes of each other wanting to know, Mom, what is wrong with you? I know something bad is going on. And I was like, oh my God, I can't do anything without somebody else knowing it. Her intuition and that of my kids reached across the veil and found me in the dark. And I remembered not just my abilities, but the power of not abandoning them. That was a moment that everything changed. I began to speak with spirit again. I started listening to the whispers. I said yes, not to the version of me that I thought the world wanted, but to the soul that I had buried 13 years before, denying. I reclaimed my gifts and abilities, and with them, I rebuilt my life. I created what would become the Breakthrough Manifestation Code. It's a process for co-creating with spirit, placing your order with the universe with precision and power. And the results? I paid off $60,000 in debt in 4 months. How do you do that when you're not really making that much money? I went from making $55,000 to $294,000 in 1 year. That is an increase of 434%. I walked out of homelessness and into abundance. And most importantly, I came back home to myself. I no longer apologized for who I was. I no longer begged for acceptance. I stood in my truth and I watched everything real rise to meet me. Because here's what I now know without a doubt. If we can collapse our lives by rejecting our truth, we can resurrect them by remembering who we are. So if you've hidden your abilities, your gifts, if you've tried to downplay what you know, if you've made decisions that pulled you away from your power, I want you to know this: you can come back. It's not too late. Your past does not identify you. You're not defined by the pain or the silence. You're more than you've ever been taught to believe. And you can overcome anything you've unconsciously walked yourself into because you hold the same power to walk yourself out. And that's why I wrote this book. Not just to share what I've lived through, but to show you what's already inside of you. Your gifts and your abilities are not a burden. They are your birthright. You were never meant to deny them. You were meant to use them, to create joy, to welcome abundance, to live in fulfillment, to witness miracles. And this is how you do it. So if this chapter has stirred something in you, that's not by accident. If I can turn around destruction into miracles, it's possible for you too. You came here to experience more than you can imagine, and it's waiting on you to get in alignment and say, yeah, that's mine. That is rising sovereign. Next, we'll start looking deeper into your superpowers.